gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, Demon Phil here, and we are back for another episode of Positive Influence. We're going to have some fun with this today. First off, let me know in the comments if you can see and hear me. I'd certainly appreciate that, so I know I'm not just talking to myself. I do enough of that during the day. I don't need to carry that on into the evening. Doctor's bill is getting a little high on that one. So let me know if you can see and hear me, and I certainly appreciate that, and we can move forward from there. So let's get those shares going. And let's go ahead and increase the voice of the indies by going ahead and getting those shares out there and seeing how far we can get those waves of change to reach. We have got a great panel of guests today with current projects that are on there. We're going to be discussing with them and some other things that are going on as well. So you never know what's going to happen. And no, it was not a typo. You heard it correctly. Cowboys, monsters, and tacos. And let's see, we've got, hey, Barrett, appreciate you being here. He can see and hear me. Excellent. Sorry about the fact that you can see me. Sorry about your look on that one, but I am the host. I kind of have to be here. But hearing is good. So let's go ahead and set this off here and go ahead and make it where this show is not directly just about me because I'm not pretty enough to be up here. So let's go ahead and bring our guest up here. We will start off with, let me see, who's not paying attention? Who's not paying attention? Anybody back there? Who's sleeping? Nope, she's ready. Hang on a second.
I'm here. Hello.
Here is Adam Olenta.
Hey, everybody.
And Braden Cox.
Whoa.
All right, so before we get started into everything and start going with the show and everything, I want to give y'all a chance to kind of just go over briefly who you are, what you do, and where to find you. We'll start off with you, Lori, and work our way around.
Hello, everybody. I'm Lori Calcaterra, indie comic book creator. I am the writer behind Path of the Pale Rider and the creator of all the shenanigans that goes on behind the scenes. Um, so we're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We have our own website. We got all that good stuff. So the Facebook group is called Path of the Pale Rider. The Instagram is at Path of the Pale Rider with underscores between all of the words because it's annoying. It's also the same handle is used for our TikTok. And then the the Twitter is at PathPaleRider. And then the website is, of course, www.pathofthepalerider.com.
And in case
we couldn't
anybody
have more words.
exactly, and in case anybody's a little confused about what's going on, I made it easy for you. It's in the feed. All you gotta do is go in there and click. Everything you saw on those videos on there, you can go in the feed and click. So we'll move on to Adam. Go ahead and tell us who you are, what it is you work on, and where to find you.
Hey everybody, I'm Adam Walenta. I'm an illustrator and author, and my most recent project is Punk Taco, as you can see behind me here. I created it with my son when he was 5 years old, and we're currently working on, well, we just finished volume 2. It's at the printer, and it actually sold out, and we're doing a Kickstarter to increase the print run before they actually go into the printing process. So yeah, you could find me at any of the social media sites, just at Adam Walenta, my name, or you could go to punktaco.com and find us there.
Very cool. And Braden, you're up to finish it off.
Alrighty, my name is Braden Cox. I've been writing comic books for 5 years now. You may know me from such titles as my first series, Reclaiming Godhood, and my most recent one that came out in October 7th. But I'm here to talk to you about my new comic, It Was Nobody, which is a heartfelt horror. And you can find me at Braidoxian Studios on Facebook or at Braidoxian anywhere else.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So, as everyone knows, if you've watched the previous Positive Influence, this is the second in the series. So it's a brand new show that we're working on with this, and it's only current campaigns that are on here. And the reason I do that is because it gives a little extra emphasis on what they're doing during the time that they still have a campaign going, to go ahead and get an increase in the exposure level that's out there, and then get the energy going, because there's always the energy that has to be in the campaigns that you have going. And we're just going to have some fun with this and talk about the different programs that are out there, because I'm going to tell you right now, each one of these is fun in their own way, in a very different way. I don't think I've ever had a more eclectic panel on any of my shows before than Cowboys, Monsters, and Tacos. You know, I'm gonna leave tacos for last, because I know everybody's kind of sitting over there going, how do tacos play into Cowboys and Monsters? So just bear with me on this one. But we're going to go ahead and start off. I'm going to go ladies first on this one. We're going to go to Lori on this one. Path of the Pale Rider on Kickstarter. You're doing well. You are funded on there right now. And moving across, right now you're sitting currently at 82 backers. I've got it sitting up over here. What is the story about? Give us the elevator pitch on what the story is.
Okay, so imagine a world where your body dies, but your soul is trapped in your decaying body. So you get to experience your own decay. And as your brain decays, you slowly go crazy. So you can have indifference, you can be violent, you can be forgetful. The whole world gets to experience the broken death process. And this is not just for people, this is for animals and insects as well. So when we talk a little more about the world building, you'll get to understand like what a powder keg this world is. But we are following Jude St. Clair, the cowboy in the story. He's 10 years into the apocalypse, and he is still searching for that answer. He's looking for the answer to the question, why do the dead no longer die? And to see if he can survive long enough to put the world back to the way it was.
Exactly. And I have seen it. No spoilers, so don't even worry about that. And no one's going to get any spoilers, so don't even try to message me, those that are out there. But I will say it is a gripping story. It is something that you're kind of going, what is going on here? You think you get it figured out, and then, okay, what is going on here? And there's not a lot of words. I was surprised that there's not a lot of words, but it tells an entire story. That's very difficult to do, and you actually you did that. I mean, you achieved that. So I don't know exactly how it was done, but it is great looking. Now, why did you go with black and white for this?
Um, we do a lot of horror in this, so there's a lot of gore. There's undead. We don't want to call them zombies because they're not quite zombies, but we have a lot of stuff going on. And I feel like the black and white is just, works well for the Western, it works well for the apocalypse, it works well for gore. And those are kind of our three main topics that, are on the pages. So the mind fills in the blanks, you know? It's almost, you can make it as gory as you want it to be in your head. Now, that doesn't mean that we won't go back and do it in color because, guys, we're gonna. But I wanted to see it both ways. So we have a stretch goal for color. If we don't hit it, I'm cool with that. I'm really excited to see it in black and white, and then we can always run like a limited edition print in color. So you can see it both ways.
Very nice. That sounds like
Hmm.
fun. I will tell everyone that's out there right now, just seeing it in black and white, if that thing was actually in color, that's going to be a lot to take in because there's a lot of story that's in there. It would really grip you. I don't even more, and I don't even know how to say that because it was a really good story as is.
Thank you.
So y'all need to go take a look at this thing. We're going to delve a little bit deeper into it here in just a little bit, but we're going to kind of go
Mhm.
around the room on this.
Yeah.
Let me go ahead and go to Braden now. Braden, you've got It Was Nobody. I knew almost next to nothing about this thing whenever it first came out, and I know a little bit about some things before they hit because I'm in a lot of the groups and all. Whenever it did come out, and it's a heartfelt horror. Um, I couldn't grasp that. I was like, what is a heartfelt horror? I've seen a lot of horror movies in my time and stuff like that. I've never seen heartfelt horror. It is, as he puts it, heartfelt horror. I'm gonna let him explain the elevator pitch on this so that I give away no spoilers because it's right on the tip of my tongue and I just won't do it.
Alrighty, so It Was Nobody's a heartfelt horror. It's about this young boy who is dealing with bad problems at home, so drug addicted parents, child abuse, and he's tried to get help, but no one seems to believe him or wants to help him. And one day that all changes when he meets a monster named Nobody.
And that's where we need to leave it right there because the relationship between the two, the events that happen, this is a page turner, and then you go back and look at it and you're like, where did I miss this? What just happened on this? And you want to go back and review it and try to figure it out again. And I'm telling you right now, if you like horror, it's a good book to get right there. You definitely want to do that. If you like books that are a little more gritty in nature, a little more gritty in the detail of what they're talking about and everything, it's right along your lines with that too. It hits a lot of the different markets on there and has a lot of appeal for that. So I was very impressed with what you had on there, and I wish we could give more information on it. With your permission, and this is to all three of you, definitely want to do book reviews whenever everything's all said and done with your campaigns.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I can finally say what I'm feeling because it's all right here. It's right there.
Hmm.
Um, but very well done on that. And people need to go ahead and take a look at that because it's not what you expect. That's all I can say. It's not. You go over there and you have expectations, just leave them at the door. It's worth it. I'm telling you. So go take a look at it and see what's going on with It Was Nobody. And we're going to dig a little bit deeper into that as well. But I just want to kind of keep going around the room just real quick. Tacos, because we've already gone cowboys, monsters. But not only tacos, we're going to one up this one, punk tacos.
Space
So
tacos.
there you go. So go ahead, Adam. Give us your elevator pitch because this is a good one.
So, Punk Taco is a lovable space taco who rocks out across the universe with his band of misfits, spreading peace and love through the universe. And along the way, they have to fight evil bullies and they help those in need. So they're always getting into trouble. Punk Taco is kind of mischievous, but he's very good natured. And whenever he sees, some form of oppression or someone being bullied, he can't help but get involved and try to do the right thing against impossible odds and try to help out. Usually dragging his friends along with him. And in the first book, they have a big adventure together where they make a new friend and they help save the universe from the evil King Boogar, who's trying to take over. And then at the end of that, it's a complete story on its own. And then at the end, we have an epilogue where they're pulled into another dimension, which picks up in volume 2. And they find themselves on a planet where they are so tiny that the enemy that they're up against is so enormous it doesn't even acknowledge they exist. So it's kind of part Horton Hears a Who and the Lorax kind of mixed in together, because the giant that they're battling is basically destroying the environment of this planet, and they have to find their voice to make themselves heard against this giant. So it's a book for all ages. It was co-created with my son when he was 5 years old, and he helps me write the series, and we do artwork together, and he always has his short stories in the back of the book as well. Volume 2 was originally funded on Kickstarter, and it's been quite some time before the pandemic, and the family moved 3,000 miles across the country, and then we had the pandemic hit, and that slowed down production, but it is at the printer now. So we have a new Kickstarter because the original print run sold out, and we want to increase the print run for other people that didn't get a chance to get it. So
Very cool. Now, before we delve into everything else, because I'm going to kind of segue directly into all that, because I've been dying to talk to you about this one. Your son, at 5 years old, was drawing in the first one, was doing the artwork.
yeah, he was 5 turning 6. So I think by the time he got to write and draw his story, I think he was more like 6. But yeah, he basically helped design all the characters. He helped write the story. And then for the story in the back of the book, like for anyone that has kids, you can have like a piece of paper like this big and they draw like this big. So what I would do is I'd be like, all right, I'm going to roughly sketch out, fill in this space. And then he would go to town and do all of his creations and color it with crayon. And if you read the book, you saw the back of it. His story is in the back of the book. And then in the new, and that story was influenced by his favorite book at the time, which was Elephant and Piggy. So there's a whole series. If you have kids, you probably know the Elephant and Piggy books. And now the second book, his story is influenced by another creator that he really loves, which is Dad Pilkey with the Dogman books. So you could see his style has changed, and the story has evolved. His story has evolved. So
That's what I was thinking when I saw yours is Dogman for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I come from the school of I don't know how much you want me to talk, but I come from the the Ninja Turtle era in the '80s, and all the black and white books. So Punk Taco is very much that irreverent sense of humor, and we try to make it a book that people can smile and laugh and also think. So,
Yes.
but mostly be entertained.
And in bringing up that, to make you think, I just want to go ahead and expound on that just a little bit, because whenever I was looking it over and going through it and everything, it has, I don't know how else to put it, and I'm not trying to coin the phrase or anything because we got the show, but we are positive influence, and the positivity that is implied in this is immense. I mean, it's not to the point where it's like, if Darth Vader were to come up to Luke at the very beginning and say, that I was going to, kill you and your family and everything like this, and that was going to all happen, and then Luke to say, it's okay, we're buddies, we can get through this. No, that wouldn't have happened. But whenever it's done in a realistic manner, and the way that it's set up in there, even though it's done in space, it's still set up in a very, I don't know, it's a very familiar manner is the best way I can put it in there. And it gives you that feeling that maybe everything may not be right in a lot of places, but there's sure a lot of places where it is, and where you can make a difference by just the positivity you imbue in that.
Right. I go back to like the old Spider-Man comics, where oftentimes, Spider-Man tried to talk it out first and try to figure out what the villain was doing or why, like what was going on, and then if he can't talk him down, then he kind of has to kick some butt. So that's Punk Taco. He doesn't want to fight. He's against violence, but when it comes to someone bullying someone, he steps in and he has to help save the day. So if he can, he tries to at least. So we try to be positive, because there's so much, there's a lot of stories out there that deal with very dark themes. So we wanted to make something for kids, but also it's written in a way that adults can enjoy it as well. If their kids can't read themselves, then the adult can read it and enjoy it and pass it along to the kids. And we also made it a hardcover. You've probably seen the back, because we're big library fans and we get so many graphic novels from the library, and my kids reread them, and then we end up buying them. We wanted to make it something that doesn't just go in a bag and get lost in a box somewhere. So we wanted it to be something that could stand on a shelf and be reread over and over, even passed down from generation to generation. I have all my old Dr. Seuss books, hardcovers, hundreds of books from when I was 5 to 6 years old. And I'm glad we kept them, because I didn't have to buy them again for twice as much money when I had kids. So we may have a guest appearance here if you want to take a minute. What's up, bud? 2 guest appearances. So this is McCunna. This is the co-creator of Punk Taco. I'll take off the.
Let me give you full screen on this.
They can hear you.
There we go.
And his little brother, who is now helping with Punk Taco 3.
Nice. Well, it is an honor to meet both of y'all.
Thank you.
Y'all have done an amazing job. How did you come up with the idea at like 5 and 6 years old to come up with Punk Taco?
Me and Dad were just playing Lego and talking, and then he told me about this idea that he had in his head, and
Yeah, I had the name Punk Taco kind of rattling around in my head for some reason for years, but I didn't know what it was going to be or how I was going to present it. And then all of a sudden he started coming up with like who Punk Taco would be, and he started drawing pictures, and he came up with the villain, King Boogar, was this evil cheeseburger. And he had a bunch of other ideas, but we couldn't fit them all into one book. So then we decided we were going to continue it as a series, and if it was successful, and go from there. So now we have ideas that started in Punk Taco 1 going all the way into Punk Taco 3, and it's been nonstop.
Yep.
Well, that is excellent. And, we may have to talk, because I may have to get a commission sketch from you at some point, because that's some good work that you got there.
Thank you.
You definitely keep being creative and keep being positive. That is an amazing thing.
Thank you.
So, you gonna go play? They're like, it's having fun.
No, that's very cool. And it's very cool that we got to meet them and talk to them just a little bit on that. And it's also got, how do I put this? It's got a song that's available on there. And I'm just going to say right now that I played that song, I think that was yesterday the first time, and I still haven't gotten that thing out of my head. And it's not one of those that you want to beat your head against concrete to try to get it out of there. It's like, it's catchy. I don't know why it's so catchy.
Hey, I take that as a compliment. Thank you. I'm glad you haven't wanted to, jump out the window with it in your head or anything. But yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of like the Ninja Turtles theme song again. Especially the second most recent one, and I kind of wrote it in that way. I wanted it to have that rock feel, but I'm also a hip hop guy, so obviously did that aspect of it. And yeah, if anyone hasn't checked it out yet, check it out. That's one of our rewards. Actually, you get an MP3 of the Punk Taco theme song, so your kids could enjoy that, and hopefully it gets stuck in your head like we don't talk about Bruno.
Oh, no. Oh.
It is a very fun campaign. It's got a lot to offer on there. It's got a lot of different things that are available in ways that you can kind of mix it up. And it is not geared specifically just to kids. I'm telling you right now, if you've got kids, it'll work out great in giving to your kids like he was talking about. But sometimes even as adults, it's great to see that there are works that are out there that actually have a positive nature in them as well. And it's kind of rare to see that in certain things that are out there. Now, whenever you talk about, Punk Taco, whenever I first heard about that thing, it's like, okay, I have no clue what I'm getting into. I have no clue what this thing is going to be. And then finding out that I had the positive foundation to it, I'm telling you that means a lot to me. And of course, I'm biased, because I had the show that's about that, and that's what I try to make all of my shows about that. But it's good to have that because it gets passed to everyone else, and you can definitely see that you've passed it down to your generation below you. They're exuding that. I just saw that just from the short time we had them on here. you've done a great job with them, and we hope they keep doing that.
Yeah, we wanted it to be for all ages, and it's not easy to make an all ages book because everybody's into different things. So it was a challenge, and we feel like we're successful because going around the country selling Punk Taco 1, we've got people in high school that like it, people with kids, people without kids, middle school, elementary, and again, like I said, like if the words or the language is too big for an elementary student, they're going to go back. I learned to read reading old Stanley and Jack Kirby Fantastic Four books where you wouldn't know, what Mr. Fantastic was, the word he was using. You would go to the dictionary. This is pre-internet, and you would learn a new vocabulary word. And that was our goal, is to hopefully, encourage reading and learning to read. So.
Exactly. But you can see it definitely paid off, and you did a great job with that.
Thank you.
And it's got a positive nature to it. I'm telling you right now, everybody go check that one out. That's our first one we're showcasing. Go check it out. He's got, I believe, 9 days left on there.
Yeah, we could definitely use everybody's support.
Exactly. And keep in mind, and this goes with every single person that's up here, remember, it costs nothing to use the power of the finger, the correct one. Hit that support button and go ahead and support it. Share it. It doesn't cost you a thing to do that. If you don't have the money financially to do it, nobody's going to, hit you up against the wall and say you have to spend money on this thing or any of these. And nobody's faulting you for that, because I don't have money to back everything that's out there that I want to, trust me. But I share as much as I possibly can.
The share and the retweet
to somebody. Exactly.
Yeah, I'm always amazed at how many people like something, but then they don't retweet it, because retweet is what's actually going to get more people to see it. Or the share button. Like those are essential.
And speaking of which, he mentioned tweets. I'm telling you right now, our biggest following is on Twitter. So we are kind of, as my gal says, and my partner says, we are Twitter-pated because of all the following we have on there. Share. I mean, retweet. Well, not share, but retweet. See, I'm learning the lingo. Retweet. Get that thing out there and let people take a look at this and see what's going on. And let's see what we can do with that and get this built up there. And I'm telling you right now, get the audio. Get the audio. You have to do it.
We also have a read along video, so we know that a lot of kids can't afford the book and get it. So we actually, I narrated the whole book, and it's on YouTube. And I had a friend animate the pages and everything like that. So we wanted kids to be able to read the story or listen to it, regardless whether they can afford to get the book. So check that out as well.
Absolutely. And it is definitely worth it on that as well, because not only is the dialogue, put in there and everything, but the sound effects are actually used in there as well. Bam and zoop and pow. And there's all kinds of cool stuff in there. It's like reliving a Batman series episode. I'm telling you, it's great.
Thank you.
But definitely go check out Punk Taco. You want to see what's going on over there, see what's happening, check it out, and get a positive book in your hands over there. I'm telling you, there's no getting around it. It's just it exudes positivity, which is amazing. Now, we're going to move on to, let's see, we're going to go to Lori next on this one.
I don't think my book is positive. I think it appeals more to your Demon Phil side.
Yeah, I was going to say same.
Not everybody can have the same thing by any means.
Yeah, we want different books for sure.
Exactly. Like I said earlier, yours, Lori, had that element of, I don't know what's going on, but I can't stop. I mean, it was one of those things that just keeps going and going, where you think you might have figured something out, and then no, not yet. So tell us about, because you've already told us it's about being dead and dying and decaying and the way that it's done, which I did not get that, by the way, so I'll read it in a whole different light the next time I see it.
Yeah, well, it's weird because, okay, so I don't want to give away too much. So when you first read those 8 pages that I give you on Kickstarter, it's like, oh, it's a Western. And then you look at him and you're like, what is he wearing? Why is everything all broken in the world? You know what I mean? So the more you read into the panels, you're seeing context clues like, okay, there's a big sign that says caution dead bear. What the heck? Why do we care? And he has this conversation with his horse. He gives the horse shoes to put over her horseshoes so that she doesn't make noise. So I'm glad that you picked on it, that there wasn't a lot of dialogue, because this section is specifically about them trying to be quiet. This world is so, it's so crazy how the smallest consequence, or excuse me, the smallest decision that you make could have a large consequence. Very
Yes.
dire. So that's kind of what you get to see in this section. Is like he goes down this road, he's with his horse, they put the shoes on, they decide to keep going even though there's imminent danger. Um, Things are falling apart. They find this thing sticking out. It is a hand that's like under a boulder with something in it. And he stops and he pulls it, he yanks it out of this undead hand. The hand comes apart. The glass goes flying in the air. He dives. He almost goes off the cliff to catch this thing, which is, in my opinion, so stupid. Takes a look at it. He's like, "What is this?" And it's a glass with a map of Las Vegas. Ah, what does this mean? But I don't tell you. So he's like, and this bird flies by and makes a loud noise, and it kind of like snaps him out of what he was just doing. Like, that was really stupid. I should keep going, right? So he puts the glass in his saddlebag, and around this corner, all these birds are flying around this corner. There's this carcass across the road, and it's indeed a dead bear. And it's like, okay, but why do they have to be quiet? What's going on? You know what I mean? Like, we already saw the hand that was moving, and in most zombie tropes, it's like, okay, it's people, right? But in this world, it's animals too. So they sneak over this giant bear that's taking up the entire road. They have this like one little moment of, oh God, thank God. And then the horse trips because the road is in shambles. The glass that Jude stopped to pick up goes flying out, shatters, and wakes up this undead bear. So we have this nice, beautiful splash page. The bear's name is Big James. He's standing up behind Jude, just roaring, and you can see all like his bones and stuff through his front. It's really cool. Yeah. So that's kind of what I'm giving you to start out with. You can see like the cowboys wearing stuff that doesn't make sense. Like, what is that technology? We don't understand what it is. So I'm giving you context clues. This is about, I want to say, 2/3 of the way into the first issue. So there is a lot of dialogue that happens before that. So you'll learn what Jude is looking for or who he's looking for. You'll see, kind of what leads up to this situation. You'll see this situation, and then we will resolve the bear situation.
Now
I'm
you
sorry.
this is your first campaign, correct?
This is my first campaign.
And you are funded at 82
Yes,
backers.
Yes.
You have 5 days to go, which, given the experience that people have with crowdfunding and everything, means that you've probably got some more people that can jump on there at the end, which could be
Yeah.
straight from here, straight from Twitter. Hey, y'all Twitter people out there, you can jump on there and get it. We have no problem with it. Retweet.
Absolutely.
See, I'm learning the lingo. Retweet.
Retweet.
And but definitely it take a look at it, but she doesn't give you enough to really delve into the whole thing to figure it out, and that was the aggravating part of it. I mean, the OCD in me is like, oh my gosh, I got to see more. So whenever
That's
I got
why I
more,
do it.
exactly, whenever I got more, because being a host has its privileges that way, and then I looked at it and I was like, wow, you really danced around a lot of stuff on there on purpose and did a good job of it in doing so, because they'll never see it coming. I mean, it's I'm telling you, I can't explain it any more than that without giving anything away, which I'm not going to.
Yeah, don't.
But it,
The artwork is beautiful too, by the way.
oh yeah,
Thank
it's
you.
really nice.
Yeah, I'm not the artist. I'm
I
the
know,
writer,
yeah.
but my artist, Marco DeFillo, and he's excellent.
Yeah, it's not an easy task making horses look good. So it's
right,
Horses
exactly.
and
Yeah.
perspective and like
Animals in general.
imaginary technology, and
Right.
we wanted that gritty Western feel, and he nailed it. It's like
Yeah.
Jude
Good
looks
job.
like a weird version of Clint Eastwood, like a scruffy Clint Eastwood, which is what I wanted. He just does such a good
Yeah, it's
job, and
beautiful.
that bear is gnarly, man.
I love
Oh
it.
yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
It was a great job with it, and it's, how do I put this? It's the way that it's drawn. It's almost minimalist with a lot of detail is the best way I can
Yes.
describe it. It's odd. You look at it and you're like, okay, this is more of a sketch design book whenever you look at it, but the amount of detail that's in the sketch design, it really draws you in. I can't explain it any different than that. If you go look at the pages, you can see some of that in there, some, but trust me, you're not seeing the best parts in there. So you definitely want to take a look at this and see what's going on with it, because it's got some serious potential on what it's doing. First, your first campaign, and you've already got that one locked down. So
Yeah.
what's next on? I mean, do you have more planned out for this series? Do you have other series?
Well, of course I have more. Well, this this series, okay, so I have a whole first arc that's written. It's 13 issues, and then I'm about 7 issues into the second arc. There will be a third arc. I have an ending. You know what I mean? As a writer, it's like you know how everything's going to end. You just don't know how many arcs you have to write to get to that ending.
Right.
So it's just funny because the first arc is so crazy, but you get to learn the world and you get to learn like the mechanics and all the crazy crap that happened. You know, you get to see the falls and the famines and the government craziness and everything, right? I show that all to you. And then as crazy as the first arc is, I take it like way off the rails, starting at right in the beginning of the second arc. So it's like we progressively get crazy. Like episode 8 is so nuts. I cannot wait to see my artist draw this episode because I want to see it. It'll blow your mind, you guys. It'll blow your mind. So
That's
we
cool.
got to get to at least number 8 so you guys can like really get the meat and potatoes of what's going on. But it doesn't even end there, so it just gets crazy.
Oh no,
Um,
we're going to do that. We're definitely
yeah.
you're telling
So
me
we're gonna
13. Yeah, you're telling me 13,
13,
and that's a good number to go to with a horror series anyway. So it's like, yeah, we got to do
right?
this. It's got to happen.
Lucky number 13. So we'll get through that. I do have another series that I wrote was actually for the production company in Detroit that I was with prior to writing comics. So I was with a Coattail Collective, which is a production company based out of Detroit. And I was choreographing fight scenes, and I actually wrote a web series for them that we filmed the pilot, but then it just didn't go. It didn't go any further because my family relocated from Michigan to Texas in 2019. Can't go anywhere with it. But it's written. I have 12 episodes of that.
Okay,
So if we get bored with Path of the Pale Rider, we'll start pumping out the agency because
nice,
that one's done.
nice.
Hmm.
That's yeah, that's a good
There's no
plan with that, because it opens up a whole different series of people that are looking at something on there, and they can go back and watch your other stuff or look at
right.
that. Yeah,
So we have cowboys and apocalypse versus like spies and espionage and martial arts.
exactly. I mean, if you just
No,
throw
no
in
quick idea.
a space taco, then you'd be right
There you
there.
go.
Right. I was like, I gotta write some tacos in.
Team up.
Yeah, let's do a crossover episode, guys.
Sounds awesome.
You can
Now,
have
not
enemy be the bear, and we can
There
write
you go.
undead bears into yours,
well, I was
Braden. I
gonna
mean,
say, if you need a villain, I'm gonna tell you right now, because we're gonna talk to Braden about Nobody.
yeah,
Man, that sounds like I just messed up my entire podcast here with this one. We're gonna talk about Nobody.
I want to hear it.
Okay, so how do I put this? Because again, no spoilers, but it deals in some very dark material, of course. So that's put out there so that everybody can see that up front, that's going to be involved. But it's dark material that has an ending, almost like I don't want to say a happy ending. It's very strange how it is. Braden, how did you come up with the idea for this thing?
Oh,
Because it is as dark and twisted, but you feel connected to characters that are in there.
so when I was younger, my family did foster care, and I kind of got we would hear about the horrible stories about what would happen to them when we would get them, and like I remember one of the first kids we had, it was and you hear these like horror stories a lot, and so like I would hear like the first kid we had, he had a cast on his left arm because of stuff he dealt with, and the nobody part is kind of like a splash of classic Greek mythology into it. Like within the Odyssey, Odysseus, he faces the Cyclops, and he's like, "What's your name?" And he's like, "Oh, my name's nobody, or no one." He says, "My name is no one," and so when Odysseus finally frees his, his crew, he stabs the Cyclops' eye out, and and then when the Cyclops comes running out, and he's like, help me, brothers," and they're like, "What happened?" He's like, "No one did this. No one did this." So they think he's just like a crazy guy, and he's like, "All right," and they all leave and go to sleep. But that's kind of like nobody, like the character, like he starts talking about how he like his parents will hear him talking to somebody, thinking that he's trying to like report them, and he uh it's like, "Who are you talking to?" And they're like, "Oh," he's like, "It was nobody." And so like they get a little mad, and it's a very heartfelt book about these kids. What if the help they actually received was from a monster? And I took a lot of the modern takes on stuff where like nowadays we people were not afraid of like monsters and boogeyman. We're afraid of people, and like you see that kind of trend now where it's like a lot of the really good horror movies out, and it's not like monsters or any of it, it's the people. And
Yeah.
so this is kind of like on a reverse urban legend where like when parents would warn kids, it's like, "Oh, don't do this," or "This is going to get you," and this is well, you shouldn't treat your kids like this, or "This is going to get you."
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so it's kind of like a nice reversal on like a classic kind of urban legend.
Yeah, it was. It draws you in from the very beginning. Whenever you first start reading it, it's one of those things where you're reading what exactly am I getting into, and then whenever you actually are introduced to the rest to the meat of the story, shall we say, that's whenever it gets, I don't know, it gets gripping. That's the only word I can really think of with that one, because it's something that I couldn't put down. It's something that I had to finish and figure out what was going on with it. You see the pattern of what's going on, so it's not that it's completely unknown of what's happening, but it's the mentality that it puts you in. It's almost like there's nothing that's out there that can hurt you if you believe enough in something. It is almost what I put into it that I got out of it. So, in a dark way, of course. I mean, don't get me wrong. This is not a feathers and Halo type thing by any means.
Yeah, it's also like in our Kickstarter, we had a custom song made, and there's a poem inside the book that
Yes.
I actually had my son read the poem, and so it was done, by because the character is 10 years old in this story. Like that's the main character is 10, and he's dealing with all this stuff, and my son's 9. So I thought, that would be perfect for him to test his new boom mic we bought him, and but
What
it's
better
also a
way?
reward if people want to get the poem of nobody, and it's in a couple of the tiers. It's like in the more digital tiers, and but you can also get the song and listen to the song that my friend wrote for this. He's an actual musician, and he actually wrote the whole background track for the poem of nobody.
Cool.
Nice. Now, this is the first in the series for It Was Nobody, correct?
It's only a one shot. This will
It's a one
be
shot. Okay.
it's a nice 24-page black and white book that
Okay. So it's a
no yeah
one and done. It's a one and done on this one. What else have you worked on? What else has been? Have you had anything else that's similar in style to this?
well so yeah my most recent book that came out was Sever. It has actually a pretty similar art style, but this is actually a heavy metal inspired horror.
Yes.
It's a horror romance inspired by heavy metal. A lot of the cover I sold out of all my variant covers, or else I'd show them off. But like
Awesome.
the covers we did, like for the horror aspiration, we had a Evil Dead themed cover for the heavy metal. We had a Dio metal album, the Holy Diver cover.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it's really fun. It's a romance horror inspired by heavy metal, and it's about this girl that her girlfriend is announced dead in a car crash. 3 years have passed, and then her girlfriend shows up, and then it starts to get weird. And they were in a heavy metal band before she disappeared, and they still played, and she wouldn't ever replace the drummer because the drummer was her girlfriend. But then she shows up, and then you deal with like a power hungry necromancer cult, and part 2 and 3 are being written. So
Nice. That sounds interesting as well. We'll be looking forward to that one as well. And if you want to get It Was Nobody, this is your chance right here because it's a one shot. So you don't want to miss out on this thing.
yeah, and you can add on all my other books. So if you want It Was Nobody and you want a digital copy of Sever, you can pick it up too.
Very
That's
cool.
See, I
So-
can't wait to be at that level where it's like you can leverage the other stuff that you find. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because I'm like, I just got this. That's all I got.
That's good though, because it's sometimes it's an easier sell when you have less. You know, people
It's
want
true.
that one thing, and they get it. But yeah, it does help as you move forward to have extras of your
Yeah.
previous work. Yeah,
Exactly.
because you're always going to find new readers, no matter how old a book is. You know,
Yep.
people want to think that things are like, you know, have a shelf life or they're temporary, but you know, you keep your books in print, which is what we try to do with Punk Taco, and you're always going to find new readers because someone new is always going to come by. And in my case, like there's always young kids who are learning to read, so you know, it's like an endless supply of potential readers. Hopefully,
Cool.
you know.
So what's next on each of your lists? You know, once the campaigns are over with. I mean, what's on your plate for the next thing? We'll start off with Adam on this one.
Right now we're looking forward to releasing Punk Taco 2 in August and shipping it out to everybody. And then Punk Taco 3 is actually like 90% drawn. So that's almost done. And then I have to ink it. So we will eventually have a Kickstarter for that as well, but we're going to wait till that book is completely done and ready to go before we launch anything new. And yeah, that's really my focus right now. Just getting Punk Taco out to as many people as possible and keep spreading the word.
Okay. And what about you, Braden? What do you got coming up next?
Alrighty, well, I actually have 3 books coming out later this year. I have another one-shot horror story that I wrote called Outwash Onslaught, and it's a horror through the slasher's perspective.
Okay.
And it's about this. Yeah, it'll be lots of fun. And I also have My Grandmother is a Demon Slayer, and it's about this girl who loses her family to demons, and she finds out that her family is actually demons. That they're like
I was
demon
never there
slayers.
with that family. I just want to put that out there. It was not
Yeah.
this demon.
Yeah, and then she finds
Your
out that
fault.
her grandma is still like a active demon slayer, and so it's also like dealing with a new handicap, like she loses her dominant arm in a fight, so she's like, you see a lot of like emotion about, you know, her losing her family, her dealing with this new handicap, and like she completely like breaks down in the book because like she can't even do the simplest things anymore, like sign her name. And so she goes and lives with her grandma, and it's another. I like to put a lot of heart into my stories, like, you know, with stuff like this. And then I have my Blade of the Undying book, which will also come out, and it's a dark fantasy. It's a dark fantasy based within like Arthurian lore, but like it happens when what happens if Merlin actually became a necromancer, and so
Ooh.
you find out that, like, you know, he kills the Round Table, and then Arthur gets resurrected as a skeleton, and so he's
Wow.
yeah, and so it's very dark and very fun, but it's like there's a lot of like hidden gems like that in there, and it's really it'll be really good. It's very I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Berserk, but
Yep.
it's very Berserk influenced.
Gotcha.
Okay. Interesting. And Lori, what about you? I mean, I know we got part 2 coming out here pretty soon. Hopefully, because you're leaving us hanging.
Yeah, I mean, like we're just gonna start steamrolling out Path of the Pale Rider, as many as we can do a year. The more we do, the better we'll get at it. You know what I mean? This being our first Kickstarter, we learned a lot, and we still have more to learn as we go fulfill the first Kickstarter. Hooray! Right? And then after that, we're gonna turn around and we're gonna start, some more shenanigans, and then we have to start, getting that ready for the next Kickstarter, and then we're gonna Kickstarter the next one. So we'll probably do some pitching to some publishers and see where, how that goes. Hopefully, knock on wood, somebody will want to pick us up. At least they can help with the printing. I'm still gonna pay the page rates, I'm sure. So there will always be a Kickstarter. There will always be Kickstarter shenanigans going on. So if you don't know what I mean by Kickstarter shenanigans, we have the comic book, and then we have like short films, and we have riddles. They're all built into the each episode issue. So,
Yeah. I wasn't going to say anything, but I'm going to say it now since you already brought it up. The riddle thing, because
yeah.
we got one of them from you in the pre-up stuff, and I'm not going to give away anything, of course, on that, but I'm just going to tell you right now, between me and Trisha, we are beating our heads on concrete trying to figure these things out.
You have to figure out the how to figure this one out. Once you figure out the how, it's easy.
I'm telling you, like I said, I can listen to Punk Taco all day long. I don't want to beat my head against concrete, catchy and everything. But these riddles, they're not the regular,
This one's an
do a word
easy
search
one.
and try to find it. What? Oh, I feel
Oh no, I had plans. Yeah, so every episode that comes out, like this one is the back cover, and once you solve this, you'll know that you've solved it because it takes you to some place in the real world. So we have different things going. We have, like, I plan on doing some Morse codes, some ciphers, maybe some invisible ink, QR codes. Sometimes the answers will be in the comic. Other times you'll have to solve the back cover, which is what this one is. But you know what, Phil? I have talked about creating the riddles and what I was doing in some of my other social media. So if you go back far enough, the answer is there. And people have solved this. People have solved this. There's 3 people that have solved this already. So solve it, and then you can get your bragging rights. But what these things do, so once you solve the riddle, you actually get additional content. So I have plans for, like, if you solve it, maybe it sends you to a YouTube channel, or maybe it sends you to a podcast, or maybe it's a phone number you call and you hear a message, or you leave your address and I send you something from Path of the Pale Rider. So it's kind of like it's this rabbit hole that you get to fall into, and you can start participating, you can start interacting with the world.
All right, conspiracy theorists of the world, unite on this one. Come on, we can get on
That's
here
our
and
next.
start
Well, that's our
traveling
next video. Our
and
next
finding
video
all kinds
is
of stuff here.
conspiracy theories.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, we can band together and find all kinds of stuff and meet up at places. This is cool. Next thing you know, we're going to be stealing the Declaration of Independence.
Challenge accepted.
The show is in no way affiliated with stealing the Declaration of Independence.
No, I would never advocate for that. Nope. You hear me, NSA? I didn't
You're better
say
off.
that.
You're better off stealing a copy of Action Comics #1, anyways. At least you can move that on the market. Yeah, you want something you can move.
That is the truth. Yes, exactly. There's too many fakes of the Declaration out there. At least
Yeah, it's worthless because
true.
who are you going to sell it to? You don't know the people that are going to buy that.
Yeah, exactly.
They'll catch you.
Exactly. So let me ask you this, because this is going to be kind of like the closing question we're going to do to kind of wrap this up. But on each of you, I'm going to ask this question: is what is one thing that you have learned and improved on in this campaign? And we will start. Actually, I'm going to start with Lori because she looks like a deer in the headlights. That's
I was like, you have improved on. Since the beginning of campaign. Well, I've gotten a lot better at Kickstarter. Coming from someone who was a Kickstarter backer and then switching over to someone who actually has to do the research and create the backing levels and understand how it works. All that learning took place over the last year. So that's one thing that I definitely learned. Plus, one thing I really enjoy is not only just writing the comics and creating comics, but interacting with the reader. So kind of like you guys, it's like you where you're interviewing with schools, or like you have your punk rock following, heavy metal following, excuse me, not punk rock. Those are two different things. Yeah, I don't want to insult you. Heavy metal. And then for myself, like with the short films and the riddles, to really be able to engage my readers as I think, what I really like. So I'm gonna hire someone to do the rest of this stuff. I just want to interact with my readers.
Very cool. And what about you?
What did you say?
What about you?
Oh, yeah. So the last campaign, I probably learned more that's probably useful as far as, life is unpredictable. So I had said it, I had done the Kickstarter, and I planned out time to finish the book, but I did not plan out for a pandemic or moving 3,000 miles across the country. So, that put us drastically behind. As I said, we finished the book. It's at the printer now. As far as this campaign goes, I learned almost the opposite, is that no matter how much you do plan, Kickstarter can still be very unpredictable. I mean, I feel like this is probably one of my best designed Kickstarter plans and pages, and we're kind of struggling with it right now. So even though we have a huge audience, not just from the previous Kickstarter, but we've been to like every convention in the country almost, and we've sold books just through there. And so my thinking was that would translate to new supporters for Volume 2 because they only bought Volume 1. Finding a way to get the convention audience to come back to the Kickstarter projects, that's a whole other thing that I need to probably learn more about, because this one I thought we were there, but like I said, it is struggling a bit. So if you're interested in something new and positive, definitely check out Punk Taco. But again, a lot of things are unpredictable, so you have to kind of take the good with the bad and brace yourself that no matter how much planning you do, it may not be the right time. There may be something else going on with the country, or, economics, or just, people are liking something else, and you can't take that personally. Otherwise you're going to like get depressed, because that could hit you. I mean, I know all Kickstarter people are there clicking that that refresh button, trying to see how many supporters, and when it doesn't happen, it wears on you after, especially 30 days of doing it. So I don't, anyone that's out there that's thinking about doing this, I always try to give them encouragement and let them know that there are highs and there are lows, and you just kind of have to deal with it and stay strong, because you'll get through it.
Very cool. And Braden, what about you?
Sorry, I had to click my unmute button. I've gotten a lot better at just funding. I like my last Kickstarter project, I didn't fund until week 3. I was able to get all the way funded and some on day 3 for this. But it seems that's where my limit is. I'm not going any higher, but it's still a good goal. So
That's amazing.
yeah, it's even if my amount, I don't think I need as much as you guys. It was also pretty small, but I like to do smaller. I like to do smaller goals because I can get out like books a bit faster, and because I don't run a Kickstarter until my book's like 100% done.
Yeah.
Right.
So I usually just like, so if you back the book, you're getting the book.
Right.
That's because you guys are both the illustrators. So that's
I'm
really
not.
cool
No,
to
no.
have that
I'm
power. Aren't
a
you the
writer.
illustrator? You're
No,
the writer.
I'm
Who's your
just a writer.
artist?
So for It Was Nobody, it was done by Quinn Rosenberg. This is her first. This will be her first published work.
Oh wow.
and she was really she's great. She lives
Yeah, I
in
like the artwork.
Canada, and
I thought you were the
Very
artist.
cool.
That's
You
fun.
definitely got to keep her in that one. Definitely keep her on the
Yeah.
barrel.
yeah, but like I write and I just write my books.
Oh, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. So the main thing is, as with these shows, I always try to bring out the current campaigns that are out here, and each of you are current and getting to that point of ending. So everybody needs to get out there, get those shares going, get those follows going, support in any way you can. I'm telling you right now, if you go look over there and you have some extra money, you're definitely going to want to go ahead and pick up each of these three. They're all demon approved. I'll tell you that right now.
Thank you.
That's the only spoiler I'm going to give right there, because whenever I do a book review for these guys, they're going to get demon approval right there. But the main thing is, even those that come in here that haven't had years and years and years of experience, years and years of following, you're proving that it can be done. That you can come out here and still do the work and then get the following and then get the backing and then get the support that you need to get these things done. And for that, I salute every one of y'all for doing that, because it proves to the rest of the people out there that it can be done. And that's something that I definitely want to bring up in closing on this, is that no matter what you've got going on, as long as you believe enough in it and you put enough into it, there's nothing can hold you back on that. So always keep moving forward, just as my shirt says,
Cool.
and do that, and you'll be just fine. There you go. Lori's got us for the gun show here.
I
at the end.
got yeah. There's no muscle there. Who am I?
But thank you all for being here so much. Let's go ahead and go around one more time. Tell them where they can find you, what's going on. I'm going to give you full screen on each of you, and we'll go ahead and close this out. And if y'all want to talk afterwards, we'll be in the green room. So hang out if you want to. Let's go ahead and start with Lori.
Hi everybody, Lori Calcaterra. I'm the writer-creator of Path of the Pale Rider, which is the spaghetti western, sci-fi horror, existential horror comic, hence the hat. You can find us on Kickstarter. We're Path of the Pale Rider. We're a project we love on there. And let's see, we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and website. All you got to do is look up Path of the Pale Rider. We will show up. Follow us for the shenanigans, though, because, yeah, the comic book is great. You can read the story. That's where the meat, the potatoes, the death, dying, destruction, that's where it is. But also, you got to remember that we have the short films. The short films are going to be interactive starting with the next episode. So you yourself could be in the short films. We're going to pick a topic. Everybody sends their submissions to me. I edit them all together. And then when the next Kickstarter comes out, you can see your face as part of this world. And then again, the shenanigans with the riddles. You got to solve the riddles. I can send you down this rabbit hole where you might find something really unexpected, but then you can start interacting with the world itself. So come back us on Kickstarter. We're funded, so if you back us now, it's 100% guaranteed you're going to get your book. So let's go.
Very cool. All right. And we'll go ahead and go to Adam. Let's go ahead and give you full screen and let you go ahead and close out your end.
All right. Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm Adam Molenta, the co-creator of Punk Taco. You can see it behind me. You can see it here. This is the first volume, which is available on our Kickstarter. We won a Ringo Award for Best Kids Comic or Graphic Novel in 2019 for this one. We have a Kickstarter now for Volume 2. And that is at the printer and ready to go as soon as we get this Kickstarter funded. And if we could increase our print run, that would be awesome. So Volume 2 is available, and you could find us on Kickstarter, search Punk Taco, or you could go to punktaco.com. You can find me at Adam Molenta on any of the social media apps, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You could type in also The Real Punk Taco on Twitter. And it's an all ages graphic novel. It's great for young readers. It's great for an older audience who just likes to read something positive and smile and laugh. And it can be shared with all ages. So it's definitely a book that you can keep and you could hand down from generation to generation and enjoy. So we hope that you'll check out the new Kickstarter and support the book. And thanks everybody for watching.
All right, very cool. And let's go ahead and bring in Braden to finish it up.
Hey, Braden Cox. You can find me at Braidoxian Studios or at the Braidoxian on Instagram or Twitter. Yeah, book's 100% done. It was Nobody, heartfelt horror about a young child dealing with child abuse and drug addicted parents, and befriends a monster. And like I said, just follow us. We'll be on Kickstarter too, and we'll have plenty of other books coming out. And I think
Very
that's about
cool.
it.
All right. Well, he couldn't wait until right after the show, so
Yay.
S'mores had to make an appearance because he always does on every show because he does that. So from us over here at Dark Enterprises, myself, Demon Phil, Lady Trisha, and of course S'mores, we want to go ahead and say thank you for being here on another episode of Positive Influence, and we will see you again next Monday. Do not miss this week. We have Hell of a Show returns on Thursday. I'm saying that we're doing our official return this time. Last time I said that, we had a tornado. So hopefully that doesn't, recycle on itself.
Don't jinx yourself.
Exactly. Friday, we have a special show, Friday the 13th special. We'll be having Justin Hunt join me on that. And this weekend on Unscripted, I don't know how else to put this except it's going to be the Hawaiian contingent. It is nothing but Hawaiian creators, artists, and all within it. And it is a big panel. If I'm not mistaken, I think we're up to 7 or 8.
Nice.
So it's going to be a good show.
My son is part Hawaiian.
Oh, nice. Definitely, yeah.
Makana, yeah. And yeah. So my wife's Hawaiian, so.
Nice. Very nice. Well, thank you everyone for being here and being my guest on the show today. I hope y'all had a great time. I hope you're all able to enjoy yourself.
Yeah, thanks for
hopefully
having
we're
me.
able to get you a little more exposure, a little more energy out there for your things. If we can do anything for you, simply reach out and let us know. Until then, always keep it into y'all and keep it positive.